huge deal. Because what had happened in Babylon, you all, was that the world was united. These Babylonian people were united. There was a very small group of them that were actually getting after the accumulation of knowledge. Yet, because they were so united, they were just passing the tests over to the answers to the tests over to each other. I'm doing all the work and I'm getting all the information because of my relationship with spirit and because of my work in understanding spiritual systems. And I've come into this knowledge, and now I'm just giving you the top notes of this knowledge. So you can play your part in keeping us sound as one unit, as a collective. So when God came down, God saw this. He said, oh, wow, there's not going to be nothing that they're not going to be able to do with this. So what we'll do is we're going to break this up. We're going to scatter them all over the planet, and we're going to break the languages up so that you just don't default into such powerful knowledge. You earn it on your own. And those that actually earn it will go their way, and those that haven't will go their way, and we will see what comes of that. And what will come of that is that there will be those that were actually getting after it, that will build tremendously powerful kingdoms. And there will be those that were just getting the top notes that wouldn't. They will forget this knowledge. They will get lost in the creations. They will begin getting lost in the luxuries of the creations, where the nations that were founded by those that were actually aspiring to the accumulation of the knowledge would be growing in even more knowledge. It's the same way even after. You have many nations of people. You have stories of the Moors all over this planet that had defaulted into the same type of Babylonian knowledge system where they are just born into the blessings because they're related to the house of people that know this knowledge. And they will walk mighty within the earth because of this knowledge. And they will begin abusing the knowledge. You would have some that would abuse the blessing. And if you tell them anything about it, they're upset and they want a war with you. And it began to decline. The systems began to break up. And it no longer was a regal and a majestic house. It had turned into debaucherous kind of thing. And we will find the same kind of cycle of what David is going through, where he's at a crossroads and he's having to now decide that he needs to turn his back on his house. There will be some that would get to the same crossroads, and they would have to decide to separate themselves from their house. They wouldn't have any choice. In order to protect the knowledge, the integrity of the knowledge, they would have no other choice than to separate themselves from their brethren and their sister in their house. Those that wanted to look like they wanted the knowledge and wanted to look like they were really proactively looking to uplift the house, but really when it got down to it, when the rubber met the road in any kind of way, they would sell the house out, women, children, brothers out for pennies on a dollar or for some sort of luxury. And those that created many of these, what we call secret societies, many of these systems that are pillars in the earth, separated themselves and took portions of this knowledge and invested the knowledge into their own families and made agreements with one another that they would honor these relationships in the upholdment of the sacred knowledge. And they wouldn't completely abandon their brethren and sisters because they couldn't. It would take time before they would not resemble their initial look. So during this time, they must commingle in a way, and they began creating systems to appease those that don't want to aspire to such knowledge. They create systems to appease those that want to look like they really want to be that, but really what they want is comfort. So they'll create you a system where you can all manage one another within and just look like you're that. But you really never grasp that because that's really not what you want. And many will come through generations and say, they would kind of get a hint of what's going on. They would say, well, there's got to be more to this, and who's running this, and what's this, and what's that. And they will be upset about this system that their ancestors allowed and actually wanted. Many people will say, that's not true. How could you say that? Look at Isaiah. When Isaiah was walking amongst Hezekiah and being a prophet of God and going into the heavenly places and all these different things, Isaiah has set himself apart from the people just to preserve the knowledge. Look at the Essenes. This has been going on since the beginning. This is just 2025 version of this same thing, y'all. And we must thank God that somebody has been able to do it. This is my word for y'all today. These hierarchies, God is showing me through my life experiences how many things that I may have condemned or even thought to be evil are not. Some things are just necessary. Some things are. There is evil in the world. I am not going to sit here and say that there is no evil in the world. There is evil. But I believe the evil comes from places that are directly amongst us most times. I think the most evil comes from the places that are within our reach most times, friend. There are just hierarchies to things. There are things that you must